Sports. Welcome to level 82 of the Sandbox Gamers podcast, a podcast where three fidgets meet weekly to talk about life, love, and the pursuit of vidya. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your co-host with the most, Wonder Rob, coming at you live, well, semi-live after the fact from Southern California. And on the line with me are two of my best Arizona friends in the metaverse. The ASU of our podcast, Vactor.
Sparky, that's the devil's Jeff Diablo. Hook 'em horns.
Stupid. He doesn't even know.
And the Ohio State of our pod, the always angry JeffW.
I'm not yelling Sparky or nothing.
Who's the mascot for OSU, Jeff?
Brutus Buckeye.
He knows. What a nerd.
I know.
And I'm Sports. Bengals. Sports. No, the Bengals. No, Johnson. That's a deep cut for anybody who knows. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We appreciate it. You following us for another episode of our nonsense, the 82nd episode, as a matter of fact. Thank you. If you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We appreciate it. Follow us on whatever platform you're finding us on. YouTube, subscribe. Hit a like. TikTok, like. Facebook, like. Not Twitter, because Twitter sucks now. Thanks, Elon. No likes. And whatever other places there are. But thank you. And shout out to our most loyal listeners who are always back here, Pedro and Tommy.
Yeah.
We love them. All right, so we got some video game news to discuss this week. Jeff beat a video game. Is it the game we've been talking about for 12 weeks? We don't know. We'll find out when we get there. So we got lots to talk about. But first, everybody knows that JeffW is always DTF. What does that stand for, Vactor?
That stands for Dirty Twinkie Fudge. Woo!
Dirty Twinkie Fudge. Actually, yeah, that is
gross, man. What are you...
All right, so up on the list, there's a debate talking point, and I'm gonna let you guys have it. Here it is. Here's the question: what game should I play first, Uncharted or Metal Gear? Jeff, let's let you take this one.
Is this even a debate? Because I think one already happened, right?
Well, I played. Okay, hold on, Jeff. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
In this scenario, Rob has not played anything.
For the sake of transparency, I played the opening level for Uncharted 2 because Trent insisted that I need to stop what I'm doing and play this game. Yeah, 12 years, 13 years, 14 years, maybe 15 years, possibly 16 years, 17 years. He's been telling me this. Longer than the game's even been out. So I don't know how. Maybe he's clairvoyant or something like that.
It was released in 2009.
Well, we were friends in 2009. So I think you were telling me since then. So I did play it. The video is on YouTube. If anybody is curious, Wonder Rob playing Uncharted, the first level for the first time, and making sarcastic remarks through the whole thing just to spite Trent. But I haven't played the game. I just played the first level. So I think the debate still stands. Should I be investing my time in Metal Gear, or should I be trenting around in Uncharted?
I mean, I think there's some. I think Uncharted, you'll have a little moments here and there, but I don't think if we're talking 1 through 5, I don't think any Uncharted game is better than any of those games.
Really?
Like, I don't think any Uncharted, even the peak Uncharted, which is probably 2. I don't think it's better than a single Metal Gear Solid game. And I'm talking 1 through 5. I'm not talking any like weird post Kojima, like none of that stuff, obviously. But to me, they're just so much more fulfilling. I find the Uncharted games definitely have their crowd, right? Like they definitely have their moments, and they definitely have the people that are into them. And I mean, even me, I'm fine with the Uncharted games. I don't think they're bad. I just don't think they are not, to me, they don't do anything new necessarily in terms of something that is deeper than just, you going, like, on in this video we're looking at, you going up the train. I think every Metal Gear goes a few layers deep in a video game, whereas Uncharted is mostly story, little set pieces, and that's kind of what you get. They don't do anything extra, let's say, on the level of a Metal Gear, in my opinion.
Now, it does say hold L to go in the direction you want and press X to jump. And as you can see in the video, I fell off the train and died doing what it told me to do.
See, no Uncharted game is going to hide something on the back of their video game case for you to find that will unlock a puzzle in the game. Like, Uncharted's never going to do that. You know what I mean?
That's some deep video
Whereas
gaming.
That's the first Metal Gear game. That's not even the later ones. That's the first one. Metal Gear Solid, I should say.
All right, valid points.
Just saying.
Valid points, Jeff. Valid points. But what does Trent have to say?
You would have no more fun on Metal Gear than you will have on Uncharted with Nathan Drake with spaghetti on his hands, climbing up that rod, climbing up that pole. You would have so much fun, as you already did in this opening level right here. Everything Jeff said was incorrect about Uncharted not doing anything. This is 2009, Jeff. This is not 2023 we're talking about. Uncharted set the bar high for all of these narrative, story-driven games that we're playing today with Nolan North voice acting, the GOAT voice actor, putting in work every single time for Nathan Drake. And I don't see no Metal Gear movie, Jeff. I don't see Tom Holland running around naked as Raiden.
I want to say that you would hear this take from people like that do a movie podcast. So like, the Jeff Kanadas, let's say, of the world. People like that are going to get this, like these movie nerds who, fair enough, I like them too, but like Metal Gear is just such a more rich, like, it's like it's like a good chunky
Uncharted
soup. There's more there.
Poor man's game is what Jeff
Uncharted is like a regular tomato soup with nothing in it. You know what I mean? Like, it's good, it's fine. You could dip a grilled cheese.
Metal Gear, I'm high and mighty.
Yeah, it's a better game.
Is the working class, the blue collar. Yeah, blue collar make you holla. Uncharted is the best, Rob. You gotta play it. And you don't have to sit through 9 hours of cutscenes on Uncharted, Rob, like you do on Metal Gear. So
the later ones,
Take that. And you actually want to play a game? You play Uncharted. You want to watch a game? You watch Metal Gear, Rob.
No. No,
my mic.
Uncharted is for movie nerds that missed Indiana Jones. That's all those games are for.
That's what I'm talking about.
They're like bad, but people like them because they like Indiana Jones.
No.
And Harrison Ford was too old and didn't want to do them for a long time.
No. Rob likes Indiana Jones. Rob likes Tomb Raider and Lara Croft, so we know
he doesn't. He only acknowledges Indiana Jones.
No.
He doesn't like it.
He likes the whip. He likes that.
He's only mildly into it.
We know Rob's taste.
I'm having a good time, boys. I'm gonna take a victory sip of my Diet Coke.
I'll say this: the first Uncharted is going to be. I think Rob would really struggle to get. I think most people would really struggle to get through that game, just because and I don't maybe the remasters or whatever. I don't know if they fixed it, but when I played it on the PS3, those controls were rough. Let's say it was not fun to play that game for me. But that's just me.
Well, I did try it. You'll see. I think they're on the YouTube page still. They might not be. I don't know. But I did play the first Uncharted about halfway through, and I did not finish it. I'll just leave it at that. That game's a little dated.
Debate settled?
It's a little dated.
No. Play the first Metal Gear, Rob. Let's see how dated that is. Jeff talking about debate settled. Let's put your money where your mouth is, Jeff. Let's go back to that first Metal Gear and see how.
He's doing his stupid dance.
We'll see
listen,
who's dated.
The Metal Gear controls are hard to get used to, but they're worth it. So like you're gonna play it and it's gonna be a little different, and you got to get the muscle memory back. But then once you get through it, you're like, okay, that was worthy of the time.
Yeah.
Plus they're on PC now, so you can change the controls if you want.
Jeff gaslighting you, Rob. He's trying. He's pushing.
Is Uncharted on PC?
We never should have taught Trent the word gaslighting.
Oh yeah. You don't like that word. I don't say it.
Look at him.
Yeah, try the first Metal Gear, Rob. See how you like that.
On Nintendo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Original.
I'm not doing that.
Emulators.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, the debate stands, and we have not come to a conclusion, but it was fun along the way.
If you're watching on YouTube, write in the comments. Tell us what Rob should play first.
Yeah. The first person to comment in the comments, obviously, who's not Trent and not Jeff, what game I should play, I will play it. If it's Uncharted. Now don't go making alt handles, Trent, and saying Uncharted, because I know how you are.
If you see a comment from Nathan Drake, you'll know who it is.
All right. Okay, so moving on to our next question here. This is from our most loyalist of listeners, Pedro. Shout out to Pedro.
Pedro, he's back in Puerto Rico.
Pedro lives in Puerto Rico, but they contrary to popular belief, they have internet in Puerto Rico. So
they got Bad Bunny. They got Bad Bunny.
Yeah, they got Bad Bunny over there. But not that Bad Bunny. Oh wait, no. Is Bad Bunny the one who was going to do that Spider-Man movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, they got but not that Spider-Man movie, Pedro. You ruined it. Okay, but Pedro says to us, he has a very deep question. If you guys could remake one video game, which one would you remake? Thanks, Pedro. We appreciate that. And I'm going to start with Trent.
Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is the greatest Star Wars story of any Star Wars media of all time. We're talking movies, we're talking comic books, we're talking novels. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1 is the best. It's a little bit dated right now with the graphics. So if they could do it like a Resident Evil style and update that, that would be chef's kiss. Because now we've had enough time that Rob can distance himself from the reason he stopped playing originally. Way back when we were working at Hollywood Video, Rob was having a good old time. He was playing Knights of the Old Republic. And then something happened. A traumatic canon event happened.
Yep.
And then something, Rob, he threw down his controller and he never picked it up
I'll
again.
just say it. Okay. I think I might have told this story before, but I'm going to say it again.
Something.
I don't think I know what this is.
Emotional damage.
Stupid.
Yes.
I've got something.
That's what. Hold on. I've got something. Give me a wowie zowie. Come on. Give me a wowie zowie. There we go. All right. Yes. So, at the time when Knights of the Old Republic came out, I was playing it. Trent was playing it. My roommate at the time, his name was Josh. He was playing it, and Josh Josh was the type of guy who, when he found something he liked, that was it. Like we called them phases. He would go through a phase of a particular
And we ain't
thing.
talking Marvel.
Like it was bowling for the longest time. Sometimes it would be like gambling, like he would want to go to the casino. Tons of things. But he would bounce back and forth between things. I don't know if it was ADHD or if he was on the spectrum, and I say that in the most respectable way. But he would focus on something. And KOTOR came around, and that became his focus for the time being. And day and night, when he wasn't working, he wasn't sleeping, he wasn't eating, he was playing Knights of the Old Republic. And I was also playing Knights of the Old Republic, but I was playing it how I would consider a normal person to be playing it. Not consuming my 100% of my time, but I was still enjoying it. He beat the game. This is exactly how it was. I was in my room. I had my video game set up. I'm playing the game. He comes in and he sees me playing it, and he's like, "I just finished the game. It's pretty good." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing this in the game right now. I'm enjoying it." And he's like, "Yeah, you're not gonna believe this. You are Darth Malik." Spoiler alert. The video game bad guy. You're playing a character. Yeah, exactly. The character you're playing has amnesia. And you are Darth Malik. It's wild. And I remember it so clearly. Just okay. I'm done playing this game.
And he never picked it up again.
Never picked it up again.
That would be like right now in 2023, Jeff just walked, "Hey Rob, this is what happened at the end of Spider-Man 2."
Which almost happened. We'll get to that later, but
I missed it. Apparently, I almost got spoiled on Spider-Man 2. Jeff's going through one of his phases where all he wants to do is play Spider-Man.
What the fuck? He's stupid.
Here comes Jeff spoiling it.
Yeah.
Man.
That was good.
You are him.
But I'm in
That would be
Spider-Man
like-
2. We'll talk about Spider-Man 2 a little later.
That would be like that. Remember The Simpsons where Homer walks out of the theater? "I can't believe Darth Vader is Luke's father." As everyone is about to go into the movie and see it. That was the equivalent of what Josh did. So we need a modern update so Rob can get back into it and play the rest of the game.
So
'Cause it's a great game.
supposedly the KOTOR remake isn't canceled, according to rumors on the internet. But I mean, this game's been being remade for quite some time, so who knows if you'll ever get a proper remake of this game. Just make it actual, non-turn-based combat. How about that? Maybe it'll be funner. All right. What about you, Jeff? What game do you want to see remade?
I was thinking about it because if you had asked me this like 3 years ago, I would have been like, I would have given you 100 answers for all the games that are either about to come out or have come out, like your Resident Evils, Metal Gear 3 getting a remake. But I would say I have a spiritual answer here too, so I'm going to give another one that I want to see because I was trying to figure out, I'm like, what hasn't been remade? I'm like, what have people not done? And I was looking through it, and if we're talking like full-blown remake, technically you can purchase these games on modern consoles, but for a full-blown remake, I would probably want Metal Gear Solid 1. Just because I think you can rework that, and I think, I would almost like to see them do something creative with it. I don't want them to just put it in Unreal Engine and then, a couple people have tried to do that before. You can look up some YouTube videos of like fan remakes trying to remake the levels in Unreal Engine. And it just seems kind of boring. So I would hope they would take like a, kind of a stylistic choice and do something a little different, than just like putting it in 3D models and just, recreating it, one for one. I would like to see them, complicate things up a little bit, do some different stuff. Would be my answer. But one game when I was looking through stuff that should be remade or has not been remade, and I was like, I remember this game back on the PlayStation 1 days.
The manure.
And it is funny because it was like, amongst me and, my cousins are really the first people that were playing games with me. So it was amongst us was Dino Crisis.
Oh man.
Like they've never touched that game ever since. I don't think there might be sequels maybe on the PS1, but they have not touched that. I don't think outside of the PS1 era. I don't think. So I would like to see them do something, especially because they've already remastered all the Resident Evils, so those would be on the top of my list too. Probably like a Metal Gear, Resident Evil 2 and 3 would have been high up on my list, but those are done and they were done great. I would like to see somebody do Dino Crisis. I think it would be, they have that one. What's that big dinosaur game on PC? The Ark, I think
the Capcom one, where
Maybe?
dinosaurs fall out of the sky and you shoot dinosaurs.
yeah, that one. There's a couple. I'm just saying, remember we had our whole zombie phase as a society over the past 15 years. Let's move into a dinosaur phase again here. Let's remake Dino Crisis.
Turok.
Make a good Jurassic Park movie.
I'd be down for a Turok remake.
Oh, yeah, like that. I don't know. But yeah, Dino Crisis. I feel like there were sequels to that, but I don't think that game made it out of the PS1 lifespan, if I recall.
Interesting. Well, you boys probably already know my answer. My pick for the game that needs to be remade is Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, boys. A masterpiece of Zelda video gaming. A masterpiece of Zelda games. A masterpiece of storytelling. Just a masterpiece in general, of course. But how I would want to see it, of course, is a top-to-bottom remake, obviously. Get the load times out of there. I don't want to see any loading screens or stops between, Kokiri Village and Hyrule Field and Lake Hylia and Castle Town, etc., etc. When you remake it, Nintendo, which I put the rumor out there that they're going to remake it, so hopefully that rumor gets to Shigeru Miyamoto's ears. And he tells his team to go ahead and get at it. When you remake it, I want it to be more of the gameplay style and feel of Breath of the Wild. Give me that. And even with, let's say like the Resident Evil 4 remake, where it's the same game, but they tweaked it and they adjust it and the levels are different a little bit, but it's generally the same game. That's what I want to see with an Ocarina of Time remake. It would be JeffW's Kiss.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
yeah, I think you could do. The problem is I'm trying to think of, and I guess this could go into the next thing on our list, but thinking of like Ocarina, like it's like the Metal Gear thing. Like the scope of those games were so small. I feel like back then, like, right, like, these people could develop these games in a year. Now I think you have games, they just take so much longer to come to fruition that I would like to see how they would essentially fill that space, right? Because if you think about it, like when you first get to like Hyrule Field and you get Epona and you get out of there with him or her, whatever, and you're like, there's a lot of open space in my memory of it. I haven't played in a long time, but there is a lot of like, oh yeah, there's just not, we've like, evolved so much from these. Like that used to be a big deal, right? You'd get out there like, dude, I got a whole field that I can run across here. Like this game is open as hell. Now it's like, man, this game has nothing in it. Like in between these times, you know what I mean? Like, oh man, like especially like you think of something that's jam packed with craziness, like Elden Ring, right? Like you're like, oh man, I could be running through this field and like a fucking dragon's gonna come cometing out of the sky at me, And
don't forget about those pineapples Remember, you would
Oh,
be
yeah.
running out the and a pineapple would come out of the ground
That's
and
true.
come and
Yeah.
get you. Killer
That's
pineapples.
true. So I think it's doable. I'm just curious how they would go about it. I think you have to fill some space. And honestly, I would like to see it be, because we don't get, like with Mario, we get the little mini, like Wonder, let's say. I don't want to say mini, like it's definitely a full-blown game, but like, you get your big Mario, your big 3D Mario.
Right.
And then you get your, like, in the interim, you get your maybe one, maybe two little, side scroll, more, platformy action with, a smaller, scope Mario. And then you get your next big one, eventually I assume we'll get Odyssey 2 or whatever that a title ends up being. But Zelda, you don't get that. And so I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, if you remake Zelda, you could do like a smaller scoped game. You know what I mean? Like, do something that's, not 45 hours long, but maybe it's like 6 or 7 or however. I don't even know what people are finishing Ocarina of Time in, now that I'm thinking about it. But make that, I assume that's under
20 hours, probably.
20 hours. Yeah, like under, I was gonna say maybe like 15, depending on how people are going about it, at this point. But I think you could do that again.
I'm making a prediction that you're not going to see the next mainline Zelda game for quite some time, probably another 5 years, because that's just the cycle that it seems to take these days. But
I was like, what was that? I don't even know what that is. I thought you yawned in the middle of Rob talking. I was like, what an asshole.
Oh my god, that was stupid. But in between, you're getting your Twilight Princess re-release, you're getting your Skyward Sword re-release, and then they're dropping full remakes like Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, like a full remake. And Nintendo's dipped their toes in it. They remade Link's Awakening. Super Mario RPG just came out. They remake from top to bottom. I'm making a prediction that when we see the successor to the Nintendo Switch release next year sometime, that in the launch window, either when it's released or within the launch window to sell, they're going to say Mario. They'll have a brand new Mario for us for whatever it is. And they're going to say Ocarina of Time remake. And that's going to sell gangbusters. That's my prediction. If they do a top to bottom,
is there any leaks out there that have hinted at that? Even
there's just been the rumor that I made up, and there has been. I did see some talk. We talked about it briefly in a past episode where there was some rumblings of an Ocarina of Time remake, but there hasn't been really much outside of that. But I'm saying, like, if this is the way to go, if they had that on hand plus a Mario game with a new console, this thing it's gonna be gangbusters. You remember Jeff, during the pandemic where you couldn't even find a Nintendo Switch for the longest time? It's gonna be that all over again. So mark my words. What is it? This November 26, 2023. Rob called it. Yeah, and that's it. End of conversation. Next. Okay, so yeah. Oh, what is this on the agenda? Ooh, somebody knew what I was going to say. All right. Take it away, Trent.
Well, this year is the 25th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. So I was curious. I wanted to get your boys' take 25 years later on the impact. What is your best memories of Ocarina of Time? I never played it when it originally came out. I played it later, like the 3DS remake and other emulation things. But I always heard about it. Like, everybody was always talking about it, and it was always in the back of my mind, oh, I should play that game. But I wasn't there on ground zero. I wasn't there the day it launched. So what are your boys' thoughts on Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 25 years later?
Wow. Am I getting old? Getting old. I did play this game at launch. This was a game that I
Ooh.
loved. Obviously, I don't want to say I made it my entire personality, but I did for the for the longest time. No, I mean, it was a great game. So when did this come out? This came out 25 years ago. So this was 1998. So I was 1876, 15. I was 14 or 15 years old when this game first came out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 10th grade.
Yeah, around there. This was my first real deep dive into Legend of Zelda. Now, before this game, I had played Zelda games. You know, I played Link to the Past, the original, of course. I don't think I had played Link's Awakening, but I had played Zelda 2, but nothing so far as like getting deep into these games. It might have been my age. Maybe I was just a little too young to dive into those earlier games, or maybe it just wasn't really striking what I would consider fun at the time. But I did play them. But when Ocarina of Time came out, I remember getting hyped on this game before it was even out. You know, the video game magazines were talking about it. You know, you'd see little previews and things like that, and it finally came out, and boy oh boy, this was the best thing since sliced bread for me when it came out. Of course, I played it through and I beat the game. It was fantastic. I've told the story on the pod before where I had managed to get a strategy guide for the game, and my mom found it and said, no, and took it away from me and said, you can have this back when you beat the game. I still credit her for that. And this is a game that I have played several times since then and have beaten several times since the original launch. I've bought it, I think, on every platform that it's ever been released on. So you've got it on the Nintendo 64. I guess I didn't buy that. That was a gift. I didn't have a job back then. But you know, it came out on the GameCube as a special edition pre-order bonus for the Wind Waker, so of course I had that. It came out on the Nintendo 3DS, which I just recently rebought this past weekend. I rebought it on the 3DS because I was feeling a hankering to play it again. So I've got that in my hands. I've played it on the eShop. I've played it, gosh, pretty much everywhere. As a matter of fact, I couldn't tell you how many times I've beaten this game. And even though the gameplay these days, you know, obviously compared to modern Zelda games, it's a little bit dated, of course, but the story holds up, in my opinion. And it's still a great game. It's still something I enjoy, and I still hate the water temple with every fiber of my being. But I will grind my teeth. I will grind my teeth and get through it.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, my timeline is also weird, but I was 7. I was like 6 when this game came out. I was about to turn 7, I think. So my timeline is weird. I feel like I had to have come across this later. My initial memories of it are, again, I'm going over to a house to play these. Like, I didn't have them at my house, so my cousins had the 64. They had everything at some point. They had the 64. They had, you know, they had Sega. They had Dreamcast. You know what I mean? They had a ton of different stuff. So, but I think I'm assuming at the time, like, I remember being excited about it, but I think I was more living through them, right? Like, I'm excited because they're the older kids, you know, excited about this. So I'm like, yeah, you know, let's see this. And I'm sure it was a combination of me playing with them and then, you know, handing them the controller, you know. And I think I had probably played it one other time after, and maybe I don't think I played on the 3DS. I think maybe I had run back through it with somebody on a 64. I vaguely have that memory. It's been a long time since I've played it. Obviously because I feel it's, you know, I even remember at the time it being such a big deal among you know, me and my friends and stuff, you know, talking about it. But I think obviously, like, you know, they've come in and I think for Rob might put it at his number one. But I think like technically, I think if you look at everything combined, if you take like our nostalgia out, I mean they've come through with like games that are I think just clearly better. But like the base, the core, like the foundation of even Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild is obviously from this game. I mean, but I'm trying to remember I just remember things like I remember I think is this Sheik's first appearance?
Yes,
I
sir.
think I remember that happening, and I remember that being like oh, who's this mysterious? I remember that being like a moment. I remember
I find
writing
him
Epona.
oddly sexy. What am I feeling?
Right.
This is
And I remember
this is weird.
It's funny because there's a couple times the 64 in I mean the overall value of the N64 is up there for debate for people, but there's two moments that make that console worth it to me, and it was playing these 3D games. It's getting into Hyrule Field, and you're like at the time the game is massive, you know what I mean? Like especially for me, we're going from like Mortal Kombat and like these to stepping into this was kind of I'm sure for other people there were other games that opened them to this like open world concept, but I think for me this might have been it. Like this and Mario, right? Mario 3D. Like it was just like it's just eye-opening. It's kind of like stepping into Breath of the Wild the first time to me, where you're just like you're like, oh shit, this is like something different. This is like the next level of games. And that's kind of where this began. I mean, I think the other games before, I think Link to the Past is probably like my favorite, in terms of like ones I've went back and played. But I think when people think of Zelda, I think they think of Ocarina of Time, right? Like I think in their mind they're thinking of this game for the most part. I don't think people, at least in my generation, people are not like, oh, Zelda, you mean the the SNES classic 2D thing where you're just running around these rooms that look like caves. I'm sure some people like that, but for my generation, people think Zelda, they're thinking of Ocarina of Time. Like that's the image, the polygonal Link. Like I don't even think they think of the other Links, really. I think they think of this guy, like this the trailer Vactor is playing here. Like this is what's running through people's head when you say like Legend of Zelda.
And this is the 3DS trailer. The first one I played was the very first N64 trailer. This is the 3DS trailer.
Yeah.
Jeff, the 3DS version I would consider to be the definitive version of this game.
Yeah. I feel like they probably updated the controls to it's probably a little smoother. I mean, I don't think you need a ton of work, but
well, I mean, when it was made for the N64, it just had the one joystick, and you had to control the camera with like the arrow buttons, the 3 arrow buttons, sort of like Super Mario. But you would also use those as your item buttons, But it wasn't like a free roaming camera like Breath of the Wild or anything, or more modern video games. But the game was quote unquote remade from the ground up in the sense that the graphics were updated. They didn't change any of the pacing, the level design, anything like that. It's pretty much just a graphical upgrade, which I think is probably the best you're going to get. I mean, it came out in 2011 and it was on the 3DS. But being able to use the second screen for like your map, not having to like pause and go in and out to like your inventory and things like that made it a lot better. So the update in that sense and the graphical upgrade they did, as of right now, I would put this as the definitive way to play this game, which is why when I was getting a hankering to play it again, I decided to buy the 3DS version since the eShop closed on there quite some time ago. And I didn't re-download it like an idiot, even though I told myself I should. But I didn't.
And Rob, the 3DS you have, does it have, because I think there's only one joystick on most 3DSs, right?
Let me grab it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, while Rob's grabbing that, but I remember, Vactor, I don't know if you remember this, but there was that, and I think they did this, they added the little second nib, as I think is what they called it. So it had like a little second Joy-Con, but it was almost more like what you'd have in the middle of your mouse, or your like a laptop keyboard, the little nub thing. And so I'm like, if you have that, so if you have like full blown 2 joystick control, could be a little crazier. I'm curious how the camera functions on that, because I never got around to it. Link Between Worlds was my 3DS Zelda game, but so
that was
that's
a
what I
good
spent
game
most
too.
of my time with.
And I
Yeah,
have
I
that
think that
one
might be
downloaded
my
on
favorite.
here.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm curious. I'm curious what you could get, even like how much does it cost to play Zelda on you know what I mean now? Like if you go buy a 3DS with the nub, what does that even cost?
Free
these days?
99, Jeff. Emulators, baby.
That's true.
Emulating all day. Check it out.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's that
Rob's-
Link Between
that's-
Worlds.
That song that's stuck in Rob's head all day.
Oh man.
Yeah, boy. So this is going to be a good one. Yeah, I don't know when I'm going to play it, because I do have tons of things that I should be playing, new games. But
Mhm.
I've like I said, just lately I've been having a hankering for some
Treat
Ocarina
yourself,
of Time.
Rob. It's 25 years old.
But I can play it in
Treat.
bed, I can put this next to my bedstand and play it a little bit before I go to sleep each night, just have a good time. Save Hyrule all over again. It's a good game.
Yes.
It's a good game. All right, so let's move on to our news stories for this week. Trent did some curating for us this week, and I can't wait to see what he came up with.
Oh, yeah. So this is a JeffW story. Pop-ups in Assassin's Creed were a technical error, says Ubisoft. So in the middle of Assassin's Creed Mirage, people were getting pop-up ads. Jeff, did you get this?
No. I would have immediately uninstalled the game.
Yeah, that's wild.
Walked out of that.
Could you
Fuck
imagine you got a Black Friday ad in the middle of your playthrough?
This can only be a glitch, right? There's no way.
Well, they said it was an error. As spotted by some people on Reddit, there was a full screen Black Friday advert for the game you are playing, Assassin's Creed Mirage, inside of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah,
So,
I never got that.
That
would be crazy. That would be insane. And they do enough advertising in games anyway. You know what I mean? In fact,
they did.
I mean, ads. I actively avoid ads in my life. I do every ad blocker. I do every single thing with it that I can. So I try to stay away from it. And if you do it to the game, like I think I would probably, it would depend on what game, but I would be willing to boycott a game that I want to play if they put ads in it like that.
Well, it also leads to kind of an interesting discussion on Kotaku here. They're talking about in the world of movies and TV, we've got all these different streaming services now that have different tiers of services or subscriptions. So there's the ad-free version, and then there's the one with ads, ad-supported plans on Netflix, all these other ones, Hulu.
Right.
What would you think if the video game world started going towards that? Would you pay half price for a Game Pass with ads, Jeff? Or would you pay full price for the full, or for no ads, for the gaming experience we had always grown to know and love over the years?
I would probably just start pirating every game and being a total asshole.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on how you do it. Here's the problem too, is actually, you know what does have fucking ads for me is man, what stream is it?
Effing
Paramount?
ads. That sound like porn, Jeff.
Not those. Yeah, not from the Vactor collection. I'm trying to think. It must. I mean, maybe it was Paramount Plus or something. Or I went to go watch something on a streaming service and it was running ads. Or no, it was Spotify. So I'm on my brother's paid for Spotify thing. I went to pull up a podcast and it's running ads in the thing. And I'm like, man, I thought, but they're not like, they're not like Joe Rogan reading off, hey, get this thing. It's like a full blown, like separate track that's playing. Like you can't hit skip, 30 seconds and get through it. Like that's what's on the player. Right. And even that bothers me, where I'm like, all right, if you're going to do the ad, do it in the podcast so I can skip it. I obviously don't want to do this. I don't care about, whatever brain supplements you're selling or whatever bullshit, there's a couple things. There's that where number one, I want to be able to like avoid it like easily. So don't like bury it in the middle of the show. Like I don't want to pay for ads. And I think Factor, you were the same way. We've talked about, our Plex server, like sometimes that's like the preferred way to watch something, because if you go through a streaming app, you're going to be, if you don't pay for like their high tier thing, you're going to be stuck watching ads in the middle of it. And you're like, I just want to get through this. You know
And
what I mean?
back when Disney Plus first came out, and when a lot of these were in their infancy, it wasn't that much more to pay for no ads. But today in 2023, everybody has raised their price. You can, I don't know what these specifics are, but you can look it up. Disney Plus has raised their prices like 73% since the beginning. Netflix has raised it 60%, whatever. These prices are getting a little bit out of hand, to the point where it's like you can't really afford to pay for every service now. You might as well just get cable, and which that has ads.
Right.
So it's interesting that this Ubisoft thing is kind of like a test, like a beta almost, to our game companies going to start going that way. That's why I thought that article was interesting. Rob, would you pay half price for a, let's say, PlayStation Plus or a Game Pass if it had ads in it? If it was ad supported?
No. At least I would like to tell myself no, that I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Now, if this ever shifts, maybe. But right now I'm standing on my soapbox. No, I would not. Especially if it's something like what you saw in this Ubisoft video where you're playing and an ad just pops up in your face like that.
Yeah, fuck that. Fuck that.
Like that's
I just
terrible.
Fuck that.
The thing was like, it was the game you're playing. It's an ad for the game you are currently playing, and it's like there should be some type of system that goes in there and, if he bought this, then don't show that ad. Like there should be a
You wanna buy
if-then
it?
statement.
Yeah.
There should be some type of coding going on in the background that's like, hey, I already bought this. I don't need that ad.
Buy it again.
Yeah.
I don't think ads is necessarily a terrible idea for like multiplayer, like Fortnite type games, PUBG, Call of Duty, or whatever.
If it's on a billboard in a racing game,
or just give you like a little ad or something between matches or something like that. But
Mhm.
anything that pops up in the middle of gameplay is terrible. And I thought it was super funny because wasn't it? I might be misremembering this, but wasn't there an Ubisoft developer that was ragging on Elden Ring's developers for their UI or their map interface? They're like, you guys make terrible, you guys are doing a bad job over there on the Elden Ring. And then Ubisoft immediately comes out with pop-ups.
Right.
Pop-ups. It's just very funny to me.
Yeah. So I thought that was
man.
interesting. Something else that I thought was interesting, Nintendo is going to have an adults only Nintendo 64 app for the Switch in Japan. An 18 and over Switch Online app is going to house adult or mature games like GoldenEye 007 and Jet Force Gemini. So not the
Jesus.
adult that you were thinking, boys. Not the adults
Stupid.
only. But Japan restricts Z-rated games, which I had never heard of, but I guess that's adults only in Japan. But this is on the Switch Online. So if you want to purchase this in Japan, Nintendo is going adults only, baby. So
I think this is like the dumbest shit of all time. Mainly because like, I mean, you can go into like the levels of like censorship that this kind of stuff brings that would be like another argument I would have for it. But also
Jeff,
like,
get into it.
Let's be honest. Can you find me any Nintendo game, any game that's on any Nintendo platform that is more damaging than like some kid opening up the front page of Reddit, and just clicking away. You know what I mean? Like you can watch like war footage on Reddit, and be more damaged. And there's no age gate to some of this. Like they don't, like, sometimes it's not even like, if you do it at the right time, it's not even marked down. So I feel like I understand this. Like some people want, like, I just think, is there not like a better way to like sophisticated, you know, like a more sophisticated way to filter this. Like I know you guys wouldn't want like the kid to stumble into like, you know, Resident Evil maybe right now, but like, you know, like I just don't feel like after a certain point, you know, like what, like why does it need to be its own separate app? Like can't we just like filter this down and you put like a code on it or something? Like I don't want, stop giving me more shit. Make the one product better, right? Like make
Tell him, Jeff.
the one thing better. That's really my complaint. Not so much like what people do or don't want their kids to see or whatever, you know. But it's more of just I don't know, like put these in there and then restrict it by a filter. What are we doing? You know?
It's
Making it messy.
very silly. It's very silly. Of course, this is coming from somebody as an outsider. I don't really understand the culture of Japan or anything along those lines. All I know is that, you know, and I say this with the utmost respect, so keep that in mind. There are a bunch of weebs over there.
Yeah, how many tentacle games are on the Switch?
I was gonna say, like, I know what kind of content they do have. And so it's interesting to me that GoldenEye and Perfect Dark are being restricted versus the other things that they have available over there. You know, they have vending machines where you can buy stinky used girls' panties, Jeff.
Yeah.
Allegedly. He said,
Right.
yeah. He said, oh, yeah. So, exactly. Oh, that was my wiener. Please.
Oh man.
So, good on you, Japan. I mean, I guess.
Yeah. And then we have one last story that I found, which also leads into Jeff's game that he finished this week. Cyberpunk 2077 actually has made a significant turnaround since its initial release 3 years ago, if you guys can remember, way back in the pandemic days of 2020. Cyberpunk 2077 launched to a ton of bad publicity and bad press because of the buggy nature. PlayStation even refunded people a bunch of their money back. A bunch of people were making fun of the Game of the Year editions that they had. But if you play Cyberpunk 2077 today, along with the Phantom Liberty expansion, they had a massive 2.0 overhaul patch that has really fixed a ton of the bugs. And so what you play today is a lot closer to what people were expecting back in 2020. So I wanted to get your guys' take on gaming in 2023 is a lot different than, let's say, gaming in 2003, right? Or even if you go back a little bit further, where once a game was released, that was it. There was no fixes, there was no updates. That was the game that you got. And now the games that come out today, we get day one patches. Like they're being shipped with bugs now, and they're coming out where they're like, we'll patch it later. But is that a good approach these days? And then I wanted to get Jeff's specific take because Jeff had a lot of trouble playing Spider-Man 2. So what do you boys think? Let's ask Rob first. Since
Who, me?
Yeah.
I don't know
me.
your Cyberpunk experience, Rob, with
Well,
2077.
I was hyped on Cyberpunk 2077, just like a lot of people were when it came out, and I did play it, but I did not beat it because I did have a pretty buggy experience. I did not play it on consoles, so I didn't get the PS4 version. I downloaded it on PC, and you know, my PC's not like super heavy hitter, but it's not bad either. Like I would put my PC specs slightly above or slightly below great. Fantastic. It gets the job done, is what I can say. Actually, you know what? Actually, hold on. Let me apologize to my PC real quick. I'm sorry, baby.
How dare you?
No, it's actually really good. Like it performs really well. I actually haven't ever had an issue with any game I've ever tried to play except for Cyberpunk and but I attribute that to the game. And then Star Wars, whatever the latest Star Wars game was. I cannot keep those names straight.
Jedi Survivor.
So Jedi blah blah blah. That one. But again, that was, I don't know if that was what the issue with that was. I just couldn't do the hub world. The hub world would crash on me. Anyway, back to Cyberpunk. So when I played it, it had plenty of glitches. I would see background items in the foreground. My character would catch on fire spontaneously. And I like to think that's a bug and not just me missing something that would make me catch on fire over and over again in terms of the settings. But the game itself was fun. I didn't think the game was bad, but the experience that I was having with the performance was making it unenjoyable for me. And so I ended up not playing it. Now, Cyberpunk, I still have it. Obviously, it's in my Steam library. It is something that I want to go back to because of all the good reviews, the good words that have been coming out on it lately. And I did enjoy my time with it. Vactor, miraculously, he's the only one who seems to not ever have these issues. He's lying.
Yeah, all games are good. I like it. It's good.
He said he enjoyed Cyberpunk, and I don't not believe him. I feel like it was a good game from what I played. But yeah, it's one of those things. We do live in a different world. You're right, Trent, where we're getting these day one patches and everything like that. And I guess there's not really anything we can do about it because, the video game industry as a whole is a lot bigger now than it was 20 years ago. It's a lot more mainstream, considerably more mainstream. And, people's bottom lines are on these games, these companies, they've been working on these games for 5 years. They've got shareholders that they've got to appease. The game needs to come out. They need to make money. Like Cities Skylines, which just came out recently, put out, hey, this game's not ready, but we're putting it out now, and we are going to continue to upgrade the game as we go. So thank you for your patience. Please buy the game. And they straight up said it, that the game wasn't ready. The game wasn't done, but they have to put it out. And so I think that's really just the world that we live in these days. And so while there's not much that I can do about it, I also don't really give it much of a second thought. And if it's not performing well, then great. I'll either stop playing it or I'll just go back to it after a while.
Right. And I mean, I think it all comes back to like the core of the game, right? Like, so like, for example, Cyberpunk is going to get, I think when you look back on it, they're going to eventually get a pass for what happened. One, through updating it, but also because like, I think fundamentally, I think they still have like a positive name. Like people still like The Witcher. People, you know what I mean? Like they're not, on the wrong. They're not of the Ubisoft reputation where people, I feel like there's kind of a tide turning there. They're like, I don't hear people talk about, they're like the Imagine Dragons, let's say, in the music world where people are like, this is dog shit. Like this is, terrible. Like they don't, I think it depends on your reputation. And also like there was like a weird period of time there, like when the 360 or when when we left the 360 era and we went into PS4, what was the Xbox even called at that point? Like I can't remember now.
Xbox One, yeah.
Xbox One, that's right. Where I think, and this was like I think overall bad for games was the obsessiveness over like resolution and frame rate, like down to like the single frame rate or the single frame in this frame rate or this and that, and I think that was like the bigger distraction from how the game actually ran. Like they're counting pixels instead of like looking at the whole picture essentially. So that like I think we've actually like come out of that, now. I think that is not like I remember for a long time it felt like in the 2010s, like anytime a game came out, the top 3 articles about it were, comparing the Xbox and the PlayStation version of it. And then the Digital Foundry video was the biggest thing on YouTube for it when a new game released, because people were obsessing over like 900p versus like 1080p. And now I think we've settled in a good area where people are like talking about overall performance and like features of the game. Like we're not counting pixels and just putting out this blank statement of that. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm of the mindset of with Rob too, like where I'm not unrealistic. Like I know these games are so huge and massive. You're not putting out fucking Super Mario, Super Mario Brothers 2 anymore. Like this isn't a compact game. This isn't something that's, capable of, a few people in an office to make, right? Like you have these entire companies that are built off this. So I'm fine with the update. I just think you can't misrepresent what the game is. Like Rob said, if you're saying, "Hey, this is even if you called a game like 1.0, like, hey, this is this game 1.0, we have a major update, we're going to be doing this, like whatever. I think as long as you haven't misled people, like I think you have a ground to stand on, even if your game is kind of messed up, in my opinion. And like we'll get into the Spider-Man stuff here in a minute, but like I just think you need, like, you can't have like a Watch Dogs moment, right, where they put out the trailer and they're like, this is in-game footage, and it is in-game footage, but it is so, like, they're clearly on a PC that's super powerful, and then you get to the game for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One at the time, and it's just stripped of a bunch of features, and you're looking at one and you're like, how is this, like, I think that would be a little bit like more transparency there. Like I would hate for us to get a gameplay trailer for GTA 6 and it looks nothing like what the console, like you know what I mean? Like you should be setting the expectations of what this game, I think, consoles, and I guess it depends on where your audience is now. I don't know the numbers anymore, but like assuming consoles are your biggest sellers still for you, like you should be showing that off, and then PC should be, like, hey, like, well, don't make the expectation like a high-end PC, because most people aren't going to get that, and I think that's just, fosters like negative reaction
Right.
for you. But like my Spider-Man 2 thing, I guess we'll get into that because I beat that this week. So, and I mean, you guys saw it. Every time I got something new, I should say, I would send a picture in our Discord. I'm like, look at this issue I'm having. It crashed on me. There was a time I took a video of it where I couldn't open the door, so I had to restart the last checkpoint. I had to restart the last checkpoint probably, like, I don't know, between 15 to 20 times, somewhere in there.
Wow.
Playing this game, it was pretty common. It just was fucking like, and I haven't seen like major complaints about this either. Like I haven't seen that, like, I saw like Cyberpunk, right? Like, Vactor made the great comparison. I saw a ton of reaction to that. Here, I was stuck in fucking doors. I couldn't open crates at times. It made me to the point of where I was afraid to like click. Like I was afraid to like jam on the triangle button if I got close to a crate, because I was afraid it was gonna like do something and not let me. You know what I mean? So I had like approached it slowly. But yeah, man, like a ton of weird problems with it. Luckily the checkpoint system is pretty good. So there was, most of the time I didn't have to do a ton of work to get back to where I was. It was just like a couple minutes, and there's a few boss fights that I never had anything kick me to the beginning of a boss fight. Let's say that. Like I never had anything drastic, but when I lost my save for this game and I was 4 hours behind, that is stuff that is like, all right, I'm putting this game down. I should have beat this game weeks ago, but instead I got fucked on my save thanks to Sony, and for some reason it didn't save and upload to the cloud, whatever. But again, I think the rest of the game is so good that it gets a pass for the most part, for the technical stuff. Story wise, I mean, you can't get too deep into the story. Rob, where are you? Are you about to chase the lizard, or are you chasing the lizard?
So the last major story thing I finished was breaking Kurt Connors out of that little cage that he was in. Minor spoilers, I guess, for anybody
in the
who's
park,
listening.
like with
in
Craven,
the park,
right? Okay.
Yes. And then going to the fire people's base, like the cultist base, where you
Okay.
find you know who in it, where they're like, look who's here.
Yeah.
Like that one. And currently I am running around chasing all of the mechanical birds that are
Yeah.
in the city. I'm running through those missions. So pretty much I'm doing every side mission that comes up as it comes up before I do anything main story.
Mhm.
So Trent, apparently, according to Jeff, falsely baited me, letting me think that I'm at the end of the game. But Jeff thinks I'm not.
You're not even
Mm.
close, because you haven't even had a boss fight yet, right, Rob? You
No,
haven't even hit a boss fight.
No, not with any of the major characters.
Yeah.
Well, to clarify, I'm talking about just the story, not doing any of the side missions.
I'm saying the
talking
same
about
thing
just the
too.
story.
I'm saying the same thing too. He has, I can think of like 4 or 5 boss fights from here. Like, he has to go through a lot to get there. Like,
I'm trying to
he's a
think
decent way in.
if I ran into any boss fights. I don't really think I have.
I don't think you have, because I'm not gonna spoil it what exactly happens here, but like, you pretty much do a boss fight gauntlet. Like, on the last, I don't know how many missions are in there, Vactor. I think it's like 20 or something. If you look up the IGN walkthrough, it'll tell you the number, I think. But that last like 7 are all boss fights. Like, you are like going, it's almost like one after the other. And like, I say boss fights, like I'm saying things where you are fighting a significant enemy that has phases. Like, there are several of them in your way. And like, it's just, you have quite a bit of work to do to get to the end of the game. I mean,
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I did. I feel like maybe I did encounter one that went longer than I thought it would, but
yeah,
I don't think it's nothing that's popping up major as far as like a main character like the Lizard or Venom or Craven.
because I think the Lizard,
Mr. Negative or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say, in my playthrough, I did maybe 12 hours to beat the whole thing. Let's just say Rob is the average 18 hours. How many hours in do you think you are, Rob, on the story?
I'll find out. Give me a sec.
Oh, he's got to be like 6.
I'm gonna turn it on.
I think he's
right
got
now.
at least like 12 more hours of playing, I think.
Let me see.
Because I just feel like it just felt so long.
In my playthrough, it felt short because I beat it in 2 days. So the point Rob is at, it felt like the end to me. But
yeah, I just feel like nothing's happened at that point. You know what I mean? I feel
there's
like all
a
the
lot.
major like stuff.
The home screen says I'm 61% of the game, and I've clocked 28 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you really are slow burning this one.
You're not too far, Rob.
Well, like I said, I'm really going through like
yeah.
Like, okay, let's, and some of that to its credit, like I might have left it on pause or something like that.
Right.
While I'm walking away, I don't know if it's counting that or not. Not for like long periods of time, but I've definitely paused it and walked away a couple of times to do some stuff. So that might be part of it. But I find myself compelled with these games to sort of like slow burn them, because I know I'm not going to get another Spider-Man game till like 2026. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just something subconscious with me where I'm like, enjoy the game, man. Like, play it. Like when Grand Theft Auto 5 comes out, who knows? It'll be another 5, or Grand Theft Auto 6. Might be another 16 years before I see another Grand Theft Auto game.
Well, did you play the DLC on Spider-Man 1?
Yes, I did.
That extended it for me. That I'm hoping they do the exact same thing where they had 3 chapters. That for me was an extension of the gameplay for me. So I liked, and the story as well. So it's like you got to spend more time playing with these characters, and then also it advanced the story leading into Miles Morales. So I'm happy, and a little bit of it played out in this one with Felicia in the Black Cat mission. But
yeah,
I'm hoping the DLC expands it. So I'm still happy that I beat it as fast as I did, because I think there's going to be some more DLC coming soon.
Right.
Plus Trent is one of the people that cares about the tiny spoilers.
Yeah, I don't want any spoilers.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, if you zoom out on this game, like I do really like the game, and like I think they do cool stuff. But like, if you would have told me all this before I started, I would have been like, oh yeah. Like comic book shit. Yeah, yeah, I get it.
Whatever.
Like, there's nothing like there's nothing that like is like fucking groundbreaking, like crazy. I mean, I think this is one of the better Spider-Man things
that might be
out there, but
I think that might be the wrong way to look at it, because you said the same thing about Uncharted. It's not groundbreaking. Like, everything doesn't have to be groundbreaking. It's a good story, right? From start to finish.
The story's great.
Spider-Man
I'm
2.
enjoying the story.
Right, but I'm saying there is I can't spoil it, but there's some comic book I'm just saying you're not really deviating a lot from a standard like comic book type storyline here. Is all I'm saying. I'm just saying it's not, I'm not saying it's not good. You don't have to be mad about it. I'm just saying it's
I'm not mad, but I think
I'm just saying
Jeff
you're not getting this crazy ending that you never would have saw coming or seen coming.
Yeah, but it's still good. That's my point. Is it good or is it bad?
I agree.
I think using the term comic book, it's comic book. That's kind of like using it as a pejorative. It's the same thing when you say, "Oh, it's a cartoon." It's a cartoon. Across the Spider-Verse, it's good for a cartoon, not like, oh, it's good as a movie. It's a good story. So the comic book, I don't agree with you on that. Like saying, it's not groundbreaking, it's more comic book. It's a good story, like from start to finish, from what happens with the characters from the first Spider-Man to Miles Morales to now Spider-Man 2. Unlike Jeff, I think the Spider-Man trilogy, they've really done a great job of storytelling from the beginning, setting up Harry in the beginning and then paying him off in this third one. They've done a great job. And all the guys over at Insomniac. And then hopefully whatever this DLC is going to be great. But
yeah,
I think it's just look at it as, is it a fun game? Did you enjoy the story? Was it a boring story? Did you not enjoy it? Versus, well, it has to be groundbreaking. It has to be something I've never seen before. I've never seen Venom before. And it is kind of a little bit of a twist on Venom. Not to spoil it, but it's not the same Venom from the comic books.
Right. Spoiler.
Yeah, I get it.
I sort of have a feeling. I have a guess of where that's headed, but I'll let you know when I beat the game, because this is all I really want to play right now. Oh yeah!
Doink? Is that Doink?
That's Doink right there.
Is he coming down from the rafters?
No, this game is all I really want to play right now. And so I'm. It's gonna be sooner than later.
My one thing I did not like about Spider-Man 2 is the costumes. The selection of suits. They're like, oh, there's gonna be 75 suits. Well, yeah, it's 75 or whatever the total is, because every suit has 4 color variants.
Yeah,
so they're kind of cheating when they say, oh, it's got so many suits. Well, most of them are just the different colors of another suit. So
and some of them are stupid looking.
A lot of them are not good looking, and especially Miles.
Which I'm sure you've seen that by now, Rob. The new Miles suit where he's got his hair out, and it's like they basically said it's an Adidas ad. When I saw that suit, I was like, "What is this?"
Yes. In fact, did you run into this? I haven't seen anything. I haven't looked this up to see if this happened. It switched me to that suit at a certain point in the story. I actually finished the game with that one because I was just too lazy to go in there and change it around. So I finished it with that. But it makes you fucking wear that. Like, it does it to you without. And I was like, I just put on I got the.
Like, why is your hair out?
You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? I got the good ones.
You're supposed to have a secret identity, Miles.
Yeah, really.
And actually, I will say this: that one is actually one of the less offensive ones to me, because there's some other ones in there that look like who the fuck would play the whole game like this? Like, even like there is a Craven variant of their suits, so they got like the fur stuff. I mean, I'm not shocking Rob here with surprises.
No, I have that one.
And it's like, hey man, this looks fucking stupid. Like I don't like, to me.
Or the Mysterio one also
Yeah.
looks silly.
And I like, for me, I like the big eye Spider-Man. I like the Todd McFarlane looking style. So I played with is it Amazing Spider-Man 2? Is the one that does that in this?
I was gonna say, I just had a light bulb go off over my head earlier when I said I feel like I have done a boss fight. That I have the long boss fight was Mysterio. That's who it was.
Oh,
it was a
okay,
long
so you
Mysterio
went
fight
through that side mission. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
That was actually what's funny about that. That was the last thing I did. I waited until I beat everything else, and the Mysterio was the last mission I finished.
Yeah. See, and in my mind, I was thinking Rob had finished the story, so I was like, let me finish it so we could talk about it more. But
that's what he was talking about, the almost spoiler earlier. He put it in the Discord and then he deleted it.
I didn't see it.
Let's just say I took a picture right before the credits, Rob. You would have seen some shit.
I'd have been like, oh man. Okay. Well, that's okay.
I won't spoil it.
It wouldn't have hurt. It realistically probably wouldn't have hurt my enjoyment of the game.
Yeah.
Because
No. The thing you would have seen is not that big of a deal, but you're gonna get to it and be like, oh, so he has those now. All right. Like
Spider-Man's got tits now.
kind of.
Great.
It is. Yeah. This guy has these. Okay. All right.
I'm into it.
Venom has a gun?
I ran into this wild glitch just real fast. I showed you guys a video of it where I was outside of the map. I was doing a hunter base. So the hunter bases, are hidden throughout the map. And so I was running through all of those, trying to find them. And every once in a while, they'll bring in like a helicopter, right? To shoot at you. And you have to like web it and take its Gatling gun and throw it off. So I did all that. I beat all the people, but the helicopter tends to just stay there and then fly off after you've beaten it. And so I was like, I'm gonna hop on this sucker. So I hopped on it, and I was like, I wonder if I can I wonder if I can destroy this thing, because it always flies off. And so it was mainly just an experiment on my part. So I hopped on it. It was giving me the the stats, the stats that pop up.
Right.
As I hopped on it, and I hit R3 and L3, and I did Miles's like big electric burst on it. And it flew away as I did it, and it immediately just ejected me. It went pew! I went flying off the map, off the fake scenery, like way in the distance. Like I was like, am I just not gonna land? Like, am I gonna go fast? And eventually, I landed past it, and I was just in water, and I was like, where even am I? I pulled up the map, and I wasn't even on the map. It's too late. If I had been recording it, I would have. This was just, and I was just like, holy cow, dude. Like, I just ran into some wild glitch.
When you finish it, I do want to have another discussion on this podcast about the difference between Miles's skill tree and Peter's skill tree. So once you finish, I want to have that discussion.
Well, like I said, this is all I feel like playing right now. I've got Ocarina of Time. I've got a stack of games this tall that I need to go back to, and new games. But this is all I feel like playing right now. So it'll probably be sooner than later.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Real fast, because we've got to. Zelda Gate 2023. Jeff, have you beat Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom like you promised?
I spent last night farming things. I'm getting there. I spent like... It's so stupid. It's so stupid.
I got that just for Jeff. I specifically got that.
I'm like... so I'm basically, I used all my amiibo. I'm going to do the amiibo again today. So I'm just farming meals, farming different items. I looked up a couple of different methods to, because there's actually, so you fight a boss rush before you fight Ganon, like spoiler alert, I guess. But like you can go to Ganon and you still have to fight every boss. Like they'll make you fight everything anyway. So for me, I don't have that problem, but there's like quite a few things in there. Like some of the Lionels are in there, and I'm like, fuck. So I'm trying to figure out a few ways to get around them quickly.
You need the ancient arrows, man. Like make some ancient arrows.
Yeah, and so basically, I'm going through that stuff and trying to get some of my equipment up, which is quite a task because some of the way to get some of this stuff is also difficult. So, but there's a few methods to get past this stuff. I mean, there's people that get right past it, with just when they go grab the master sword real quick and then they get down there, right at the start of the game. So there's some methods I'm looking at, but I'm getting close. I just got to get some extra time. I'm put a couple hours in every day, hopefully, maybe an hour and a half, maybe just gathering and cooking and getting stuff ready.
right.
But I'm getting close.
Well, we'll see. We'll check in next week to see if Jeff's finally beat Tears of the Kingdom. And I think that's going to do it for this week's episode. But don't turn it off just yet, because I got to tell you something. Did you know about the Vactorverse? The Vactorverse is Trent's YouTube channel where he's talking everything and anything comic book related. Tell him about it, Trent.
Oh, yeah. Everything that you could ever desire is over at the Vectorverse, as long as that desire is about comic books or Star Wars, boys. I'm having a great time talking about all these things over in the Vectorverse, and we're going to have some great upcoming content, boys. Look, there's us. When we talked about Across the Spider-Verse, we've been talking about Invincible, we've been talking about Loki, the Marvels. I've even guest starred on a couple people's podcasts over at the Invincipod. We had the Animation Fascination where we talked about Scott Pilgrim. All of these things you can see over at youtube.com/Vactor, VACTOR.
Excellent. Got to check it out. He's also on TikTok, Instagram, all the places. So find Vactor wherever you get your Vactor goods. All your fine retailers. You can find us on social media. Of course, we're on TikTok at WonderRob, WONDERROB on TikTok. We're on YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube now. Instagram, Facebook, all the places. You can find all the links in the show notes. Linktree/Sandbox Gamers Podcast. We'll be back next week talking more video games. So be sure to subscribe, like, do all the things. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. GG.